Doing well. Welcome to drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and I wanted to come in and talk to you guys real quick about something that I just saw in the media. Snoop Dogg just announced that he has stopped smoking. I thought that was the weirdest thing. I thought it was a joke. Um, I didn't know what to say, but I think I know what to say. I think I know what I'd like to say, and I'd like to share some of that with y'all, and I hope that's okay. So let me know if you heard about this. Snoop Dogg just announced that he is done. He's done with the puff puff pass culture. Apparently, he's decided that smoking should be a thing of his past, a past, and not his present or his future. And I'm gonna tell you, there is something deeper going on here. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think that there's a deeper narrative happening that the media won't talk about, and this is something that I don't think reporters are going to discuss. I don't think the Snoop is ever really going to discuss it that much openly. But I really have a couple points that I feel need to be sort of discussed here, so we don't miss this important moment, as a community. All right. So anyway, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. I saw a brother say, I met you in Seattle. Yes, I remember Seattle. A lot of great Black people in Seattle. And Miss Kabibi invited me out to Seattle, and I had a wonderful time. God bless all of y'all. I really had a great time with you. Now, here's the deal. Okay, so you all heard that Snoop Dogg stopped smoking, and that's a big announcement. Let me tell you why that's a big announcement. It's a big announcement because Snoop Dogg has 82 million Instagram followers. 82 million. That's a massive, massive number. Snoop Dogg, for whatever reason, he became quite iconic. A lot of people, really just really started to gravitate toward him, and it was kind of surprising to me, honestly. Given he started off as a gangster rapper and he was a teenager. I remember when his first album came out, and that was a really big deal. And he was the first rapper on the cover of Time magazine. He's accomplished a lot in the field of hip hop. And if I were to be completely honest, I would say that I don't think it's because his music was necessarily mind-blowingly good. He did have a good first album, Doggy Style, classic, epic, amazing. But then after that, I remember listening to Snoop and following him. He was not my favorite rapper through the years. Ice Cube, shout out to Ice Cube. Ice Cube is a friend of mine, and he remained one of my favorite rappers for the next 20 something years. Snoop, I kind of stopped listening to his albums when he signed with Master P and the album came out. It just didn't do much for me. However, Snoop always had a presence. Snoop always was incredibly iconic. And Latoya Young, tell your husband I said, what up, though? He's her husband, Will. Will, Latoya Young's husband, just said, what up, though? Well, what up back to Big Will? And so here's the deal. So Snoop Dogg is not smoking anymore, which is interesting to me from a financial standpoint, because when if you'd have asked me if I thought Snoop Dogg was ever going to be a billionaire, the answer would have been absolutely yes. And the reason I believe Snoop was on his way to being a billionaire is because he's created this really powerful brand around smoke, weed smoke. I did not know you could do that, but he did it. He and Wiz Khalifa kind of created this whole image around, puff, puff, pass, whatever, smoke like a chimney, smoke until your lungs collapse, that type of thing. Now, here's the problem with that. This is something that makes people mad at me and makes me seem like a hater, but I love y'all too much. I love y'all so much that I'm willing to sound like a hater in order to say what needs to be said. Let's just keep it 100 right now. And I hope I can say this and be loved. Give me a yes if it's okay if I say some shit that's probably going to make you mad. And I don't even know how many friends I'm going to lose off of this, because I give me a yes. I need a confirmation to say that it's okay for me to speak my truth and for us to still love each other. Okay. So give me a yes in the chat if it's okay if I do this. Here's what I want to say. Rappers have been promoting unhealthy lifestyles for the last 30 years. And there's nothing sadder than to see a 40 something, 50 something year old rapper when chickens have come home to roost. This is not me picking on Snoop Dogg. This is not me attacking him. This is not me attacking hip hop. Let's just keep it 100. We got to keep it real. Black men die at a rate that exceeds every other group of people in this country. Did y'all hear what I'm saying? Do y'all understand me? Black men die faster than everybody else. And a lot of it is very preventable. A lot of it's very preventable. And a lot of this preventable death is linked to the fact that these goddamn record labels made billions of dollars promoting the most unhealthy bullshit that you could ever imagine. They all they do is they promote death to black men. They want you dead. They don't want you here. They wanted you. They wanted your mama to take her black ass down to Planned Parenthood when she got pregnant with you when she was 17 and make sure your ass wasn't even born. Give me a guess if you understand what I'm saying. Let me know if you get. Shout out to Angela Stanton and Angie's House and all the other people that are fighting against this issue. They don't even want black boys to be born. And then what happens when they're born is you're inundated with a reality that really could be defined. If life as a black man were a movie, and I wrote about this in a book I wrote years ago called "What If George Bush Were a Black Man." I wrote this book in 2006. If the life of a black male were a movie, it would be called "How Many Ways Are There for You to Die Before the Age of 21?" Like if our life were a movie, it would be called "How Many Ways Can You Die Before the Age of 21?" Everything around me and around black men in this country is surrounded by death. And it ain't just the white man or white police officer trying to kill you. Yeah, they'll shoot your ass too. We know this. It ain't just that. See, they got you just focused on that. The George Floyd conversation was about the most ignorant conversation I ever saw, because all you talked about, you act like the only way a black man could die is by getting shot by a cop. Well, let me just tell you like this. Let me just be honest with y'all right quick, because I am a black man. I've been one for a long time. I'm about Snoop's age, so I love this guy. I respect him. I told you, me and Cube are friends. And if he ever asks me what I mean, Cube, he's welcome to call me, and I would explain everything. The problem that I have is that there are so many ways that black men I know have died young. And I'm going to be honest with you, not one single one of those men was killed by a cop. Not one. I'm not saying cops don't kill black men. We know that they do. But the ones I know who died, and I know a lot, didn't get killed that way. You know how they got killed? Y'all want to know how they got killed? They got killed in things that relate to what we have been falsely led to call the culture. They were killed by the culture. Well, what is the culture? Offset and the Migos. Well, the culture is Negroes getting shot at over a dice game. What is the culture? The culture is dudes getting shot at the club because you looked at somebody's baby's mama. What is the culture? Well, the culture, DMX, is a constant inundation of music promoting the mass consumption of enough drugs that you spend your life out of your mind, vulnerable, so the white man can come along and kill you and nobody will know, nobody will care because you're just a drug addict. And literally, like this idea somehow that you can start using dope at the age of 14 and stay high for the rest of your life and somehow pull yourself together to become an adequate husband, father, or leader of your community. Life don't work like that, DMX. Old dirty bastard. Life don't work like that. Nate Dogg. Hey. Smoke weed every day. Anybody remember that? That's a hell of a public service announcement. I remember hearing that, and I said, I'm a young black man at the time I'm hearing this, and I'm like, this sounded almost like somebody telling you to eat your vegetables and drink your milk. Like, think about this. He could have easily said, hey, read a book every day. That sounds just as good. What do y'all think? Y'all think that could have flowed just as nice? I mean, Nate Dogg was a great singer, but he ain't here no more, by the way. So again, here's what I'm gonna guess and speculate. This is pure speculation. This is purely of some man with an opinion. This is, call me hater number one. Again, I'm willing to sound like a hater because I love y'all so much that I'm willing to take the bullets and the darts that might be thrown in my head for being a hater. But I hope I can say it to the people who love me and still have us love each other. I'm going to speculate that I bet you that the reason Snoop has announced to 82 million people on Instagram that he's not smoking anymore, despite the fact that he was building a $1 billion brand as the number one smoker in America, $1 billion brand. Why would you throw that away? Well, I'm willing to bet you that there's some point in his life where he's feeling consequences that come with living a rough life for the last 25 or 30 years. Let's just keep it 100. Snoop Dogg ain't exactly a picture of health. There's never been a person who looked at Snoop Dogg and said, man, that looks like a robust young man who's going to live to be 95 years old. Ain't nobody never said that. They said he's interesting, he's jolly, he's friendly, he's a wonderful, seems like a really nice guy. He's always smiling and dancing, and he's much nicer than I am, right? It's kind of weird, right? He's the gangster, I'm the professor, but he's the friendly guy. I'm the guy that they're scared of. I'm the guy that they run away from. But Snoop is like lovable, right? He's the lovable gangster, and I love this for him. I really do. I think he's extraordinarily capable in terms of really, protecting his brand and doing a great job with that. I'm very happy for him, but I'm going to just say this. I'd be willing to bet you that there's a deeper reason why he ain't smoking no more. Because let me just tell y'all don't believe me. When you get about 40, 45, 50, your body starts saying, wait, hold on. We can't keep living like we did when we were 22. We ain't gonna live forever, Kevin Samuels. We might die alone if we don't change our behavior. Health is wealth. Y'all know this. I ain't judging. Juiced Up Reese. What's up, girl? She'll tell you. Juiced Up Reese can give you the juices that'll keep you alive. She's probably begging black men to listen to her, but y'all don't listen because y'all listening to men that are trying to kill you. So let me just say this. Here's where I'm going to go. And I want to be careful with this because I told my wife, I said, this is what I really want to say. And she said, Boyce, be nice. Don't sound uppity and don't hurt people's feelings. And I said, I promise I won't do it. I'm going to try my best to be honest and kind at the same time because I love Snoop Dogg as much as y'all do. And some of these rappers are my friends. I'm friends with people that are friends with Snoop Dogg. I wrote an article about Dr. Dre. And I think I made him mad and hurt his feelings because one of his very close friends told me he was very upset about an article that I wrote when he and that white guy gave all that money to USC and didn't give a nickel to an HBCU. I did not like that. So I wrote an article. It was read by over 1 million people. I went to South Central, did an event. It was completely sold out. And one of Dr. Dre's very good friends, a guy named Alonzo, who actually introduced the members of NWA together back in the 1980s. Alonzo came up to me and told me that Dr. Dre read my article and that when Alonzo shared the article on his page, that Dr. Dre blocked him from Facebook and they're no longer Facebook friends. And I said, I'm sorry, Alonzo. I apologize that I'm such an asshole that I keep making people mad because I speak my truth, but I cannot stop doing that. At the same time, I'm trying to learn how to not be so mean when I say it. So if I sound mean, I really want to acknowledge this part. This is what me and my therapist work through. I want to acknowledge this publicly that if I sound mean, just know that's not me trying to be an asshole. That's just my natural assholedness coming out, and I'm trying to rein it in. I promise you I'm trying to rein it in. And again, shout out to Russell Simmons, who is a person who actually is in the hip hop culture, who is a friend of mine, who actually helped me to learn how to say things in a way where I don't beat people across the head with a sledgehammer. That's what he specifically said. When he and I worked together on something in 2013, Russell Simmons and I worked on writing that letter to President Obama where we were trying to get brothers out of prison. And Russell, I asked him, I said, I noticed that you're the only person I know in the hip hop industry where everybody still likes you. You know all these people, and every single person I've ever talked to about you always says good things about you. I said, that's not my reality. Half the people that know me they don't like me because I have the friendly voice, and then I have the angry voice, the voice that just gets fed up and pissed off and just mad. Because I get mad. I don't know about y'all. I get mad about this culture. I ain't gonna lie. I get upset. I hate it. I think we're better than this. I think we could do better. We should do better. And so sometimes that rant just pops out like a crazy bipolar episode. And I said, how do you do it? And you know what he said? I kid you not. Russell Simmons said this. He said, you don't have to beat everything over the head with a sledgehammer. So this is me trying to channel that because I don't want it to sound like I'm talking down to the rappers. I don't want to make it sound like I'm talking down to brothers and sisters who believe in the artist. I think Snoop is one of the good ones for the most part. I think Snoop is trying to improve as a human being. I see Snoop as a guy who's been a great dad. I see Snoop as, friendly. He ain't gonna hurt nobody. He's doing his thing. God bless him. Now, but at the same time, I have to also talk about the culture, right? I have to also speak on what's really going on in terms of the mass promotion of unhealthy lifestyles to our people, and the fact that because it comes with a nice beat attached and a lot of style and flash and Gucci and Louis attached, because it comes with fancy cars and big booty women and diamonds and pearls attached, we ignore the dysfunctionality, the unhealthy behavior that is consistently promoted in the community. Snoop Dogg, his particular connection to it is, remember, he was one of the first rappers to start rapping about how he don't love them hoes. We don't love them hoes. That was his most famous line. That line did as much for him as 50 Cent's like I got shot 9 times. 50 Cent said I got shot 9 times and he repeated it 10,000 times and that's what made him famous. Snoop Dogg said we don't love them hoes and that made him famous. Nate Dogg, hey, 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 smoke weed every day. Every single one of those statements is pretty dysfunctional and unhealthy. Can we agree on that? There's nothing healthy about the most famous prominent black men in the community constantly run around talking about how they hate women and they don't respect black women. Now, of course, people are gonna say, no, he wasn't talking about all women. He was talking about the hoes and the bitches and the strippers and the hookers and the no. We know what it became. We know what it is. And it has showed itself. Again, Snoop was young at the time, though, so you got to give him some grace for maturing. But remember, anybody remember that award show where he came to the award show with 2 women on a leash? Anybody remember that? He had 2 women on a leash, like dogs. And everybody thought that was the coolest thing in the world because white people paid him money to do that. That is not cool, black people. That is not healthy, black people. Hey, smoke weed every day. It sounds good on a beat, but he could have just as easily said, hey, read a book every day. Or hey, kiss your wife every day. Hey, go to the gym every day. But that don't work. Well, why doesn't it work? Well, because being a healthy black man is not trendy and cool. Even some of y'all women don't even like men that are healthy. Even some of y'all women are attracted to men who are dysfunctional. You're attracted to men who destroy themselves. You're attracted to men who don't respect you because nobody gave you the self-esteem to demand a man who's going to treat you well. And so then you pass that curse to your children because that same arrogant piece of shit guy that you chose to sleep with because you thought it was somehow cool that he told you that he don't love bitches, that same guy passes that down to your child, and that same dysfunction gets passed down and your child ends up hurting because he finds out that his daddy ain't nothing and his mama picked him. So ultimately what it was really frustrating about being a young guy in the 90s is that here I was trying to do normal things that appeared abnormal. I was doing normal things that appeared abnormal. What normal abnormal things was I doing? Well, I was doing things like studying every day and going to school. Well, that made me a lame. That made me a simp. That made me a nerd. What other normal abnormal things was I doing? Well, I wasn't looking for a pack of hoes. I wasn't looking to have 85 girlfriends. I just wanted one good woman that I could settle down with and marry and have children with. Well, that makes you a lame. That you're a simp. You ain't nothing. What else? Oh yeah, here's another one. I would go to places and they would say, "Hey, you want a drink? You gonna drink your drink? We got some Courvoisier, we got some Patron over here. What you drinking, boys?" I don't really want to drink liquor because I don't want to get drunk and do something stupid and embarrass myself. So I'll just take water. I'll take soda. Next thing you know, guys are trying to make fun of you because you don't want to drink. Well, because I know what it's like. I imagine I don't want to be the dad who's pissy drunk in the house, abusing everybody and cussing everybody out and embarrassing the family and traumatizing the kids. Right. I want to make sure that as the head of the household that I am in my right mind. And also drugs and alcohol take you out of your right mind. So that makes you vulnerable. So you're in a society, pay attention now, black man, you're in a society where people don't like you. You're in a society where the police want to kill you. You're in a society where everybody and their mama is trying to catch you slipping. And first thing you do is get yourself high and drunk just so you can make sure that you're not aware that the enemy's coming. You literally you do understand that if you do this on the battlefield in the middle of warfare, you're going to be killed, right? You're not going to be successful. No man has ever succeeded when he spends a large percentage of his time out of his right mind, right? So here's the deal. And I'm not putting all this on Snoop. Snoop didn't do all this. Snoop did not create the environment that we live in. And Snoop is not even a person I'm blaming or attacking right now. what I want to center to is the core issue here. The core issue is that I believe Snoop Dogg stopped smoking because Snoop Dogg is now an older man who is starting to probably experience the consequences of things he did as a younger man that seemed super cool when he was a younger man, but now are weighing a heavy toll on him as an older man. Lil Wayne was having seizures because 15 years ago it looked real cool when he was holding the cup everywhere that he went. Right, down in Texas, there's a lot of OG rappers, I'm sure, if they were to be honest, would talk about what sipping on that scissor would do to your body, but you went along with it because everybody thought it was cool, because nobody thinks about the future. Everybody's into instant gratification. Nobody's thinking about delayed gratification. Nobody's thinking about the long-term plan. Ain't no, very few 25-year-old men are trying to think about what it's going to be like to be a raggedy ass old grandfather who's broke, poor health, bad relationships, nobody in your life that loves you and is willing to drive your old ass to the hospital. Well, Snoop Dogg is a grandfather. He's grandpa age now. He's grandpa Snoop. And I'm willing to bet you that he's starting to see some of the consequences that come from that fast, rough, crazy life that they promote to young black men that has no consideration for how this is going to play out for you long term. Look, I'm not trying to say you can't have fun. I'm not trying to say you can't live your best life. We all do. When we're young, when you're young, when I'm in my 20s, it's about meeting girls, hustling, getting ahead, and having fun, right? I did a lot of those things. But one of the things that I had to figure out on my own, because society didn't help me do this, because I had no encouragement, I did not know many black men who were encouraging me to do this, was I said, how do I balance my life? How do I make sure that I can have fun now, but I'm also investing for the future? And there's that word investing. There's that finance professor using that financial word again, but he's not talking about money. Well, how could he be talking about investing when he's not talking about money? It's because most of the investments you make are not money. The best investments you make are related to your health, related to your relationships, related to your personal choices. So no, the idea, let me just say this. There was I saw Terrell Owens. This is me talking about black male culture here. So let's center on that. Terrell Owens and Ocho Cinco, two great wide receivers in the NFL. A lot of black men, they pay attention to rappers and athletes. That's kind of the big thing for us. I saw Ocho Cinco say something like, "Hey man, remember when we was they were smoking cigars? Again, these false symbols of masculinity that men exude because they think that being a man means smoking a cigar. Ain't no goddamn thing about smoking a cigar that makes you a man. But he's smoking a cigar, and they're like, yeah, remember that time we went to the DR? We had sex with 17 women in 24 hours or something like that." And I said, and I'm like, okay, so you fuck 17 prostitutes in 24 hours, and each of these prostitutes has had sex with hundreds, if not thousands, of men, and then you bringing all that back to your wife. Again, this is where I become the asshole, because I'm sitting there thinking, you're going to catch a lot of diseases like that. You do know that that's not healthy, right? You do know that you can have great sex without having sex with 17 women in a 24-hour period, and maybe bragging to young kids about that, making them think that this is a fun life without telling them about what it's like to go to the doctor and find out that you caught something that you can't get rid of, or that your wife caught something she can't get rid of because you was out here acting a damn fool. I don't understand why we don't have those conversations. And I don't understand why the person who brings those conversations to the table is seen as the enemy. I get it, but I don't get it. Maybe it's that cognitive dissonance that D1 talks about all the time. But somebody needs to tell you, son, this ain't it. This ain't it. You can have fun. You can have, a blast with women without putting your family's health in jeopardy. Kobe Bryant, rest his soul. But when I heard that Kobe Bryant, I love Kobe. I don't believe Kobe raped anybody. Snoop Dogg stood up for Kobe the way that he did, and I supported Snoop Dogg on that 100%. I didn't like the fact he called Gayle King a doghead bitch. I didn't think that was necessary. And I knew what the liberals were going to do. They were going to turn the conversation on him and make it all about black men abusing black women. And that's exactly what they did. And I said, man, Snoop, why did you have to say that? You could have just made your point and moved on. Now you've totally messed up the movement. Now everything you said before that is going to be nullified. Nobody's going to pay attention. But I don't believe Kobe raped that woman. I don't believe there's enough evidence of that. However, here's the part that got me, and nobody talked about this. The part that got me was the idea that a married man, pay attention now, met some lady that he did not know. And this lady who had sex with 3 men unprotected in the same week, you went up in a room with her and was raw dogging this woman 45 minutes later. Give me a yes or no. Am I the only person who finds that somewhat disturbing? Am I the only person who wonders how the world can just gloss over that little fact and not act like it's not a big deal? I don't know. I need to know, does anybody else think that could be a problem? That again, I'm not even judging. I give lots of leniency for people in their personal choices. Really, I do. I don't believe, for example, I'm gonna tell you something that's gonna make some people mad. I know men or women who have cheated on their spouse who are still good spouses, who still love their husband, still love their wife. They just did something they should not have done. And I don't think that's necessarily grounds for divorce. I just don't. I don't. I'm not. If my wife ever cheated on me, I would not dump my wife just because of something like that. I would try to find out if she loved me and if the good outweighed the bad. But this idea that somehow we have a culture that says that it makes sense for a man to be having unprotected sex with a woman he just met 45 minutes ago. And this woman's clearly, getting it in with lots of other men. You're not worried about bringing something home to your wife? Like we're just looking over that. Now, I know sexual appetite is very powerful. I agree with you, Dead Prez. You're 100% correct. But there's ways to satisfy your sexual appetite without murdering your spouse. There's ways for you to satisfy your sexual appetite without getting killed. Like you can deal. Sexual appetite is strong. Like sex, you don't play with sex in Mother Nature. God created sex and made it powerful because that's how we reproduce. Everybody does it. Everybody in this room has some sort of sexual desire. And if you don't, you need to go to the doctor because something's wrong. But the point of the matter is that there's very little conversation about the wisdom of some degree of moderation. And when I say moderation, I mean some point where you have to be able to at least manage those very natural urges that you have and understand that sometimes when the consequences get too great, you're going to have to find some other way to handle your situation. For example, someone asked, what's your view on porn and masturbation when in a relationship? Well, it sure as hell better than going out and raw dogging some lady you met 45 minutes ago. How about that? That's my perspective. That whatever it takes for you to somehow make decisions that are somewhat rational for your family and protective of your family, I just don't understand some of the behavior that we think is okay. Some of the stuff is unhealthy. And a lot of it comes from this false culture that comes out of hip hop. These record labels pay these guys to say things that influence young men and get them making choices that ultimately cause them to die at an early age. And our job as OGs, our job as older men, I include myself in this group, is to warn young men about the dangers that lie ahead. Is to tell them, look, hey, go live your life, have fun, do your thing. Just understand some of the consequences. Put some guardrails on your behavior because the consequences always come knocking. Karma is real. Karma can be a bitch. Chickens come home to roost. Everything you do as a young man will come back to you as an older man. If it's a good thing you did as a young man, then you will benefit as an older man. If you did some crazy stuff as a young man, then you're going to have consequences when you become an older man. I remember in college, there was a guy who had sex with a lot of girls, and he talked about how he did not like to use condoms. So he had sex with all these girls, and we were like, wow, that's crazy. How would you sleep with all these girls? He was a Q. He happened to be a Q. And not that all Qs do this, but this Q did. And then about 12 years later, he mysteriously dies from, and his family, because they I don't know why his family announced this, but I think they said he had cancer or something. right? At the age of like 34 or something, right? Now, I'm not saying that wasn't the case. I'm not saying that at all. All I'm saying is that I find it interesting that nobody even considered the fact that he might have actually died from, you know, HIV or something, right? And I believe this happens a lot. I believe nobody talks about it. And I think that as a community, we should discuss it a little bit more. But because we're so secretive about consequences, we'll celebrate the bad choice, but we'll be very quiet about the consequences of those choices. And then what happens is young people get the wrong impression. You look right now, look at what's going on in hip hop right now with the sexy reds and all this other stuff going on. You have people promoting lifestyles that are going to cause them to have an early death or a lot of pain and trauma as they get older. And there's no older person that has the courage to stand up and say, stop doing that. This is going to cause you some problems. Slow your roll a little bit, or there will be a price to pay. And maybe I'm that guy. Maybe that's my job. And I'm gonna tell you, it's not easy because people act like they don't live real life. They don't understand. You know, why are you hating on Snoop Dogg? I'm not hating on Snoop Dogg. I'm just telling you the truth that I think young people need to hear. I believe in telling young people the truth. I believe in telling them about the realities of life and helping them to be in a position where they can make informed decisions, where they can, at the age of 25, see life as a 45-year-old and look back and say, okay, these choices I'm making right now, this choice, whether or not I choose to go to school, whether or not I choose to take care of my health, whether or not I choose to get involved in drugs, what kind of women I choose to lay down with, how are these choices going to play out for me later on? Because it's really, really sad. I'm going to tell you the honest God truth. It's really sad to see like a 40-year-old man who's made nothing but a string of horrible, short-sighted choices trying to repair his life and find that there's some areas you can't repair, right? Trying to repair his health when you've been using dope and drinking all that, for 20 something years. Now you 40 something, you're trying to get it back together. But now you got all these other health ailments that come from the fact that you've been drinking, smoking, and getting high every day since you were 20, and nobody told you that your body won't be able to handle that at some point. The same guy. He has two 20-something-year-old children that he made back in the 90s because he was getting it in and sleeping with hoes, and he's got other kids out here that he doesn't even know. All those kids hate him. None of those kids respect him. None of those kids want anything to do with him because when you ask those kids, what about your daddy? They say, my daddy was a bum. Right? Well, why? Well, because back when my daddy was in his 20s and young and had energy, he didn't want to spend time with us. He was not a good person. He did not treat us well. He harmed us in significant ways. We will not forgive him. Now that we're the young generation, now that we have all the energy and we're gaining the power, he's going to be the raggedy old man that sits in the wheelchair that gets ignored by his own kids. You talk about wealth. The same guy spent all his money on liquor, weed, and hoes. Went and it didn't make any investments for the future, didn't want to go to school, didn't want to think anything about his economic situation, got baby mamas on every corner. And next thing you know, he's 40 years old. He's bankrupt. He's struggling financially. He doesn't have any tangible skill, doesn't have any money in the bank, doesn't have anything. Why? Well, because when you were young, when you had a chance to make a plan, you didn't make a plan. You didn't. You just went along and you lived for the moment. And people who live for the moment end up suffering for the rest of their lives. Now, when I talk about Snoop, I'm not including Snoop in this category because I don't know what choices he made when he was younger. But when I heard he stopped smoking, I felt that as a person who's about his same age. I felt that, and I said, and when he asked for privacy at this moment, that gave me a sense that there's some gravity behind his decision, like there's something he has to contemplate and reflect upon. I don't know if this means he's done with weed altogether. Maybe he's going to gummies or something like that. I do believe that with just as a side note, I think that there is something going on with the weed. I think that I agree with my brother, Dr. Wesley Muhammad, who said that there's a pot plot, that they're doing something to the weed, that's doing something to these young men. So I encourage people to be really thoughtful about how you engage in this. I'm not against CBD and or anything else on any level. I don't mess with THC, but I use CBD oil. I put some on my lower back just to give y'all a glimpse of what it's like to be over 40. I got lower back pain, and I put CBD oil on my lower back to get rid of some of that discomfort. But for the most part, I do think there's something going on with that. And what I would really say to black men is this. Here's what I want black men to consider. This is what I would encourage you to do. When you see other men around you I want you to look at different black men of different ages, and I want you to look at their quality of life. So if you're 25, I want you to look at a black man who's 25, 35, 45, 55, and beyond. And then if you see a man who is struggling in some way, let's say he has health problems, I want you to ask yourself, is this a man who always took care of his health? Or is this a man who didn't take care of his health and now the chickens are coming home to roost? If you see a man who, has bad relationships with his family, maybe his children don't respect him. Ask yourself, when that man was young, how did he engage with his children? Was he pouring into them and being there for them, or was he off doing his thing and ignoring them? Right? The things you pour into will pay you back. The things you don't pour into will not pay you back. I want you to look at that man in terms of his wealth. If you see a man that is struggling financially and he's 50-something years old, 60 years old, trying to catch up and save for retirement, I want you to talk to him, ask him, like, what was life like for you in your 20s? What were you doing in your 20s? And I bet you'll find that man who's broke in his 50s is probably a man who did not do much investing in his 20s. When in his 20s, he'll say, oh, yeah, I was having fun. I was doing this. I was doing that. I was running around, blah, blah, blah. And I think everybody should have fun. Here's the thing. I'm not anti-fun. I want to make that clear. I have lots of fun. I've always had fun my whole life. As quiet as it's kept, I always have fun. But let me tell you about Boyce fun. That's a little bit different from everybody else's fun. I didn't have fun doing the things that other people did. Like I remember going to college and I went to parties and everybody said the parties were so much fun and that was the reason everybody was flunking out of school. I would go to parties and I said, what is the big deal? Like, it's the same people. You're bored. You can't have a good conversation. People get drunk and they're puking all over each other. They're out here doing stupid stuff. People getting raped and getting arrested and stuff. Like, there was nothing appealing about a party. So when I wanted to have fun, I would do something that was really fun for me. Maybe play basketball with my friends or go hang out with my girlfriend or watch a movie. But going to parties was not there. So one thing I did when it came to fun was I had fun my way, not the way everybody else did. Everybody else makes you think that clubbing and all this other stuff is fun. If it ain't fun for you, don't do that shit. If liquor don't taste good to you, don't drink it. Don't follow the crowd. Live your life. Be yourself. Find the things that give you happiness, not the things that everybody tells you are supposed to give you happiness. Number two, another thing about Boyce Fun is that I found secret ways to have fun that most people don't. Like, for example, I found that if you find a career that you really love, if you pick the career that you really want to pick, that you'll love your work and you'll be having fun doing your job. And then you won't really need stuff like vacations and time off. I don't need vacations. You know why I don't need a vacation? Because I'm on vacation every day. Doing what I do every day is a vacation for me. So when somebody says you need to take a vacation, I'm like, ooh, that's stressful. That's a lot of work. That means I have to stop doing what I love and do something boring now. Right. So if you do what you really love, if you find a way to incorporate happiness and joy in the career that you choose, you'll be having fun all the time, every day. Fun won't be some rare commodity that you can only get when you get drunk on the weekends. Think about this. So many people go to work and hate their job. They're at work just literally spending the whole damn week fantasizing about what they're going to do with their 2 days off. That's crazy to me. Or work 50 weeks out of the year just so you can get 2 weeks to yourself. No, that ain't the way to go. Find your path that works for you. Find the path that's going to make you happy, but then also invest for the future. When I was in school, I said, I don't understand why there are people who will party for 4 straight years, won't do shit in college, and then suffer for the rest of their lives, working a crappy job, making no money for the next 40 years because you didn't want to work hard for 4. You didn't want to suffer for 4 years, so now you suffering for the next 40. What the hell kind of dumbass trade-off is that? That don't even make no damn sense. So let me tell you who my favorite actor is. Y'all don't know who my favorite actor is right now? Ask me. Say, Boyce, who's your favorite actor, Dr. Boyce? You know who my favorite actor is? Michael B. Jordan. Michael B. Jordan. Now, y'all were clowning him because when he was dating Lori Harvey and that other girl clowned him because she said he used to be corny. I love Michael B. Jordan. Let me tell you what made me really love Michael B. Jordan. When he went on Drink Champs and he basically explained that the way he became successful was he said, I'm really going to pay the price now. When everybody else is partying, I'm going to be working. When everybody else is out having fun, I'm going to be grinding. And if I do that now, then I can enjoy the rest of my life. I can live the rest of my life on top of cloud 12. And I said, that's my guy right there. You know why that's my guy? Because when I was 27, that's exactly what I said to my mother. My mother, I was going through grad school. It was really hard. I was an absolute lame. I didn't have any money. I was a nerd because I studied 7, 8 hours a day. And I didn't even know if I was going to actually finish my PhD. I was doing my best, but things were not going well. And I remember I said to my mother, I said, I know what my philosophy on life is going to be. I'm going to spend a few years living like nobody else will so that I can spend the rest of my life living like nobody else can. So years later, when I had the opportunity to make millions of dollars, when I had the opportunity to travel to dozens of countries around the world, I think about that. And I think, you know what? Yeah, I am privileged. Like people say, oh, you're privileged. You don't know what it's like to struggle like me. I'm like, no, actually, I know what struggle feels like. I know it better than you do. That's why I got out of it. And I also earned this privilege. I earned that privilege when I was in my 20s, when I did things that most of my friends were not doing. So what I want to say to y'all is I want to applaud for any young person out here, who's a little bit corny, be corny. Be corny. Latoya Young says corny can be refreshing. Be corny, because the corny people are winning. The cool people are not. The cool people look like they're winning. That's what they're good at. That's what makes them cool. They know how to look like they're winning. But go look at some of their lives. A lot of them are struggling financially. A lot of them have significant health problems. A lot of them end up in horrible relationships. A lot of them do not have happy home lives. Many of them are lonely going into old age. So be corny, because the corny people, the ones who invest for the future, the ones who can have fun in their own way, live their own life and live according to their personal purpose, those tend to be the people who find success. Those are the Michael B. Jordans of the world. So shout out to Michael B. Jordan. I think every young black man should take that same attitude. If every young black man in this country had that same approach, like, look, I'm not going to drink and smoke because that's going to kill me. I'm not going to be hoeing around because I do respect my body enough that I'm not going to be making babies with any woman that walks by and putting my penis into any toxic waste dump within a 100-mile radius so I get so diseased up that my wife won't even want me. I'm not going to go and screw over the people that love me and leave my children behind and do all these irresponsible things. I'm going to invest my money so I can have some bread later on. Those are the people who are successful. Those are the ones who are solid. So same thing, ladies, if you pick a man, pick a corny man. A corny man will handle his business and hold it down for the family. And also he's got the courage to be corny and still be okay with that. So yeah, I'm corny and I'm proud and corny. I'm every bit as confident as any rapper that you'll ever meet. I'm very happy with who I am. I don't always fit into every crowd, but I'm very proud that I don't fit in, because I don't think fitting in to a failing culture is a winning strategy for the black man. So with Snoop Dogg, going back to Snoop, he's been one of the coolest cats out here. As an artist, everybody admired him, looked up to him, all that. But when he was running around saying we don't love them hoes, there was nothing cool about saying you don't respect black women. When he was, all this smoking, making a whole career and a whole brand off of smoking and standing in front of white people with, smoke coming out your lungs. I remember saying to myself, when he gets older, he's gonna pay a price for that. Lil Wayne walking around with his little cup, all those years. Well, that's why you're having seizures now, because you spent your whole career impressing white people by behaving in a certain way. Now the chickens are coming home to roost. I would have told you don't do that, but you can keep going down the list. Look at how many celebrities, DMX, R. Kelly, a lot of them that went down, who has significant physical and mental health issues that should have been addressed, but they were never addressed because there was so much money being made in letting that person kill themselves in front of an audience. People love to watch a black man destroy his life and make terrible decisions, and they cheer that shit on. And then when the consequences come a knocking, you're the one that's going to have to deal with all that. So I just believe in black men being healthy. That's just it. I really do. I think that there are things we can do. I believe that if black people were educating black people, and we were really responsible for our own, we will make sure our boys are on a healthy path from the time that they're young, instead of following behind people that are making unhealthy choices that are going to put them in prison or get them killed. Again, nobody's perfect. Everybody makes mistakes. Everybody has right to make their own choices. I'm not here to preach to you. Maybe I just did, but that's okay. You can ignore it if you want to. But at the end of the day, I just want you to live. I want you to be successful. I want you to be happy. I don't see that a lot from people that follow this particular culture. There's nothing good at the end of the road when you are getting high and drunk every day. There's nothing good at the end of the road when you're spending all your money on nonsense. There's nothing good at the end of the road when you're out here sleeping with all kinds of women and making babies everywhere. That does not lead to any form of empowerment as a black man. In fact, you will be such a slave and such a punk and have the white man's foot so far up your ass that you literally are going to wish you were dead. So I don't want that for you. I want you to be powerful. So to be powerful, though, you got to be smart. So, which is part of the reason why I know a lot of people may not understand what we're talking about here. But for those who get it, I hope you'll run with it and just hear this as my truth. All right, guys. So anyway, that's it. I'm done. Thank you for listening. I appreciate you. My name is Boyce Watkins. This podcast is on Spotify. If you go look up Boyce Watkins on Spotify, you can find me there. We have over 1 million downloads on this podcast in the last month. So thank you so much for those of you that are listening on Spotify. Also, I did get another Instagram set up. I had 500,000. They took it down, but it's okay. I started another one. So if you want to follow me at Dr. Boyce Finance, you can. But also, if you want to stay connected with me via text, just text the word stock to 31996. I will send you profit alerts. I'll send you a list of AI stocks I'm invested in that'll help you build wealth over time. My PhD's in finance. You guys know this. But if you text the word stock to 31996, I'll send you some stuff. All right, guys. Have a good night. God bless you. Thank you so much for listening. And again, Snoop, if you hear this or this sounds like I'm dissing you, I'm not dissing you, man. I respect you. I appreciate you. I just want to see everybody win. Talk to you guys later. Love you. Peace.